But nothing changed unless you change what's around you, how you think, how you live, how you speak, how you walk, how you blink, how you talk, how you teach, how you reach, let it sink.
What's your purpose? What's your passion? Through the pain, what's your plan? Is it plane? On a plane? Hydroplane? I'm just playing. What's your purpose? What's your passion? Through the pain.
All right, it's different timing now because we got some plug with Molly and Joe, the Mental Warriors. We are now on TV. Something to that effect. We on Deja Vu TV. Shout out to Deja Vu. Shout out to the Evening Rush Network for believing in us to have us still as the rookies that we are, still be, relevant and still doing our thing. It was a rough day. I got a summer camp going. Joe got a summer camp going. So we trying to do it for the community as well as come and give you guys something to think about later on that evening. Right, Joe?
That's right. Listen, we all in the struggle, if you will. And I'll tell you two things. Ain't nothing worse about New York City than traffic and bad weather at the same time. That and you're not going to get where you have to go.
And rats. Yes.
And rats. And all that together. Or if you're taking the train, that too.
The train
weather in New York City and traffic, all that together is not a good combination. So, through the grace of the podcast, and let's do this.
Right. The show must go on no matter what, but everybody got here in time for the show to begin. I believe this is, the beginning of some great things coming down the line, especially we on TV now. August will probably take a little hiatus just to revamp some things, being that, TV is a part of what's happening. We probably get into a little studio setting. Me and Joe probably do a show for the very first time in each other's presence. You know what I mean? So who knows how that chemistry might go? It might, we might skyrocket from there. Who knows? You know what I mean? But once again, shout out to Deja Vu. Shout out to the Evening Rush Network. Shout out to YouTube, Facebook. We on Instagram, Anchor.fm. We on Spotify, iHeartRadio. We on Mixcloud. We on Google Podcasts. We on iTunes Podcasts. We on the Evening Rush Network and Deja Vu TV. All right. So, mind you, you can also call in to us at any time, any moment. 929-441-2417. I believe the number scrolls down there on the little ticker there. You know what I mean? It's on Pandora as well, as we were told just now by the owner of the Evening Rush Network. Shout out to the Don. All right. Yeah. Big time. So, all right, in our introductions, we just talk a little banter here and there about different things that's been happening during the week. But this week was a lot of news. So that's what we're going to really hunker down into what's been happening during the week in New York City, because who knows where Deja Vu is at, right? So we got to let them know. We over here. I'm in Brooklyn. Joe's where? Where you at, Joe?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in Harlem. Harlem World. That's
a Harlem boy. I'm a Brooklyn boy. So just to let y'all know, the news might not necessarily be, the current events might not be your local news, but it's something that, that's important to us. So when we talk about the ticket tape parade for the essential workers. It happened this week. All right. Shout out to the essential workers. When this pandemic hit, these are the people that was at the front line. That was really, they were in the most danger than most people. You know what I mean? So you got to give them a shout out, give them their flowers, right, Joe?
Absolutely. I mean, it's sad that it took long enough to recognize them. I mean, essential workers are not just for during pandemic. These are the people that make this city, this world run on a daily basis. So it's unfortunate that it had to take a pandemic to be recognized.
Yeah, I mean, they were always overworked, it seemed. I mean, this is nothing new, you know what I mean? And underpaid, I guess, if you look at it, a lot of them feel like they were over. And that's why some of the unions actually didn't partake in the ticker tape parade. Some unions actually struck from, was on strike from the ticker tape parade because they haven't gotten different contracts done and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was on Broadway. It was on the Canyon of Heroes in Lower Manhattan. That's where they do most of the parades for the city, whether there's a sports parade or someone's being honored or someone's coming to visit. But that Lower Manhattan on Broadway, that's usually where they do all of our parades at, from like Chambers down to like Wall Street or something like that.
Indeed. We do a little sports banter, so let's give a shout out to CP3 finally making it to the finals. You know what I mean?
Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul finally making it to the finals. Yo, listen, I felt that man was done a disservice a long time ago. When the league basically denied that trade that they had going towards the Lakers. For him to team up with Kobe. What you think about that? I think it was a conspiracy to allow LeBron to keep his little legacy going.
Well, you know what? When CP3 did it, it was a different time. Like LeBron hadn't developed the super team yet. So what I'm thinking, CP3 was the first one to do it, and at that time it wasn't deemed. It was deemed as a cheat sheet, if you will. Like they figured that it would be too much for Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant to be on the same team. But only a couple of years later, when LeBron made the decision to go to Miami, that's when the super team became a thing. If Chris Paul had waited a couple of years, he might have been able to do that. But he might have been able to do it if he'd have waited a couple of years, because that was the thing.
I call bogus on that for the simple fact that, like I said, they were covering for LeBron because LeBron was failing at the time. Remember, LeBron didn't win no chips. He was supposed to be King James. I was supposed to come be the savior and all that. And if you allow Kobe to continue his legacy, which he actually did go get 2 more chips. Yes. You understand what I'm saying? But it was a different he went at it a different way. You understand what I'm saying? But if you give him CP3, then it's who knows how many championships he end up with, and then that also blankets LeBron's legacy. So but
that's what I'm saying though. I'm saying in regards to CP3, like it's the narrative. They wanted to change the narrative from Kobe to LeBron. So in order to do that, you got to give LeBron the advantage. You got to make it easier for him. But what I do think if CP3 had waited a couple of years to make that trade, it might have happened because that was the theme. That this super team was the theme, going to another team to build your presence. Because if you let one player do it, you can't be biased against LeBron. But LeBron had to be the first one to do that.
Right. I mean, I guess because it's more of a splash. We ain't gonna have Kobe do it. We're gonna have LeBron create this use that little avenue they could have used. There was a little avenue they tweaked in, and mind you, it's basically some people took less money than they would have normally. They would have been all looking for max contract, but they took less money for less years. Yeah. So they began to control the narrative when it came to basketball. All right. So what's going to happen now? We're going to go and talk about Broadway being reopened, bro.
Yes. The City and Light. We coming back. I think lights, camera, action. I think that's
I'm listening.
That's the first avenue. Whether that's the first avenue to show that New York City is coming back to normal. Because once you get Broadway, once you get the movies open, once you get the life back in New York City, then you can really say we back, we outside, if you will.
Honestly, I've seen plenty more signs that New York City was open, and that was way before Broadway being open, because the hood actually was open way before. Oh, yeah. Way before Broadway. But it's good that normalcy is the key word, I guess you would say. So I'm just glad that we got some sense of normalcy now, as opposed to last year this time. Last year this time it was up in the air. I mean, I'm talking about you was talking realistically, what would you do if certain things happen to you? So this year we're talking about going on vacations and all that other good stuff. So that's a blessing. You know what I mean? So
to be back to that.
Yeah, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Hallelujah. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It said the Delta part of the virus is coming. The COVID, the Delta COVID, I look at it all in the same vein where it's like, I mean, this little thing called life, to me, it's a lotto ticket. You know what I'm saying? You either win or you don't. You know what I mean? So as long as I'm here, I'm gonna try to win. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and be afraid. You know what I mean? I mean, we understand what we we know we can survive through these things. So let's not throw fear at everybody. You know what I mean? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our next segment. All right, people in Deja Vu land don't know about this segment. Here it's called "We Pay Homage to Our Ancestors." All right, this is a segment where we just give a shout out to those that paved the way for us in the past. All right, Joe, talk to me. Who you got today?
Well,
who you got this week?
We talked about this during the week, and our theme, since we're in the theme of the Olympics and protesting, my two ancestors, well, they're still alive, but my two ancestors that I'm paying homage to are John Carlos and Tommy Smith. Wow. John Carlos and Tommy Smith were two of the Olympians during the 1968 Mexico City. Yes, that is the famous shot that a lot of people don't know the meaning behind it. There's a huge story, which I'll get into in a minute. But John Carlos and Tommy Smith are the two African-American track runners that were protesting during the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. I believe it was the first national protest that was live, that was in person. That's why the reason why it gets so much royalty for what it did. Now, there's a Australian brother in the picture. His name is Peter Norman. He would place third place. Now, he participated in the protest because he wanted to, and he was banned. And he was pretty much banished from his country in regards to what he did, because they didn't take well to politics and social issues really well. So he was banned for a long time in Australia because of him taking place in the protest. And it wasn't until later on, after he died, that he was honored in that. So big ups to both John Carlos and Tommy Smith, and also brother Peter Norman for being a casualty, if you will, a positive casualty, and he understood what his mission was.
Wow. Yes, indeed. Clap it up for them. Listen, that picture, iconic picture, was always, a strong picture, even from when I was a young man. You know what I mean? So that's a great way to pay homage. I'm going somewhere else, not really somewhere else. It's still in the sports world. I'm gonna go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm gonna pay homage to the one and only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes. The reason why I go with that brother is because he's been fighting for social justice for the longest time. I mean, from the time he came into the league, he's been fighting all of the injustices that Black folk go through. And I just felt like, he's also one of the greatest players to ever play basketball.
That's right. Well, they have him like the top 2 or 3, if not for MJ and somebody else, but he's like number 2 on the list,
Right. He got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, you understand what I'm saying? And he, and that's after 50 years of being an athlete and an activist. He speaks, he's out there speaking, he has speaking engagements. He's just like when you, just not for his height, you know what I mean? He's tall and you understand what I'm saying? It's for everything he's done for our people and for our struggle. He used to, did you know he used to train under Bruce Lee at one time?
Oh yeah. Wasn't he in the movie with Jim Kelly and Bruce Lee at one point, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
I believe he was. I forget which movie it was, but he was in there as one of the warriors of the ways of enlightenment, if you will. So I remember, if I'm not mistaken. But
it was the Chinese Connection. That was the one, unfortunately, that they didn't finish with Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee had died at the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He died in the making of that movie. But I remember as a youth seeing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in that movie getting broke up by, I don't know if it was Bruce actually in that fight scene. And you know what I mean? Like I said, he was just always a symbol of black pride, you know what I mean? So big ups to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Indeed. So at this time, you know what we usually do, right, Joe? You know what we do at this time, right, Joe? What we do?
Yes, this is a special day for us because there's so much happening. So we had to do we're going to spend the whole episode on a current event segment. And we believe that there's more than enough events that we could talk about and hear from different people and have different opinions about. So we are going to start our first part of the current events for today. We're going to talk since we're on the subject of the Olympics.
Right. But let me just let it know, anybody that's watching, anybody that's viewing, listen, feel free to comment if you disagree with us. We don't mind. We don't mind. We care about your comments. We care about your thoughts and your views because I pretty much know for a fact that there's going to be some things that we might say might offend people. It is not the Evening Rush Network's views or point of views or Deja Vu TV. This is purely our thoughts, our opinions. Okay, guys? Our opinions. All right? So carry on, Joe.
So since we're going into the theme of the Olympics, we want to talk about the current struggles that African Americans have been having in the Olympics. We want to talk about Sha'Carri Richardson, the runner who was pretty much not banned, but suspended from the Olympics for marijuana use.
So can we do them one by one so that we don't get lost in it?
Well, let's talk about the marijuana usage. Sha'Carri Richardson being suspended for her usage. Her marijuana usage did not come as a cheat to the game or like as if you were to say steroid use or any drugs. It was coping mechanism for the death of her mom. It was therapy, if you will. And we have seen over the last few years a lot of leagues in the United States, the NBA, the NFL, they take a lighter stance on marijuana because they understand that it's a coping mechanism for a lot of athletes.
But the Olympics is the old guard. If you think about the Olympics, the sport of the Olympics precedes a lot of major sports in the world. You know what I mean? Someone wrote it's legal where she resides, and that's true. So now, if you want to take it to court, that's one thing. And be like, well, you know, if they were trying to sue her or something like that, But when the rules are the rules, you know what I mean. And I'm going back to saying that they're part of the old guard, where they're probably going to be some of the, one of the last people to get into the now of what's going on right now. They're going to be, So when it comes down to, okay, well, the NBA is a little more lenient with it, or the NFL is a little more lenient with it, or other major sports is a little more lenient with it. You got to remember, all of those sports actually want to be a part of the Olympics every 4 years.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So the Olympics got more cachet in the sense where, got more cachet in the sense where they've been here longer. And they also someone says that Michael Phelps also he did not test positive for marijuana use. What happened with Michael Phelps was that he got caught in a picture.
Right.
That was the only thing. He never did, like he said.
He never tested positive during the Olympics. His use was after the fact. It wasn't during the Olympic trials.
He was punished because he was banned for 6 months professionally. And then also he lost a couple of sponsorships as well.
Oh yeah. He lost sponsorship, and he also took some medals from him too, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think so. I don't think they took medals from him. But what I do know is that he did get punished. You know,
he did receive punishment.
Right. So when it comes down to sis, my take on it, Joe, is that that was dumb of her. That was pretty dumb of her.
Well, I mean, I have to look at it from two different ways. Like you said, rules are the rules. And if you've been doing this sport, if you've been doing this a long enough time, you know that the rules are rules and there's no exception to the rule. But there has to be something done about the rules, especially in this time where, like you said, marijuana is starting to not become as much as a threat as it was before. It's a change of the guard they need before the next 4 years of Olympics. They need to come together and have a meeting about certain things. Now, was she using it as an effect to make her run faster or better? Absolutely not. She was using it as a coping mechanism because her mother died, and that was her way to relieve stress, which I totally understand.
And what's funny, like you said on the internet, what's funny, the internet, I said the internet, right? The internet, they sitting there like, you know, marijuana should slow her down more than speed her up, but she doing
it.
Like,
it shouldn't make her run faster. Like you don't get speed by using marijuana, but it's just part of the politics and things, you know. It's part of the politics. I don't think the fact that she was using it is the problem. I think it's the fact that it's a rule. It's a problem. It's not the fact that you use it.
My question to you is: should she be in the Olympics right now?
Well, technically, no, because of the fact that she disobeyed the rules. She didn't go forth with the rules. So, and what you're going to have to do is you got to take your L, which she did. She came forth, she took her L and said, I'll participate next time. I'm young.
Okay.
And what I do think needs to happen is that they need to come forth before the next set of Olympics in 4 years and make changes. I do believe that. Because I think it's going to get to a point where so many other athletes are going to say, this is how we cope. This is how we deal with life, how we deal with pressures and stress. So I think it's going to be a big enough rambling where the Olympic committees are going to come forth and say, we got to change this rule, or we got to adjust the rule, if you will.
In essence, you're basically saying this is just the beginning of the changes that's going to happen down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
So
I said,
go ahead.
Like I said earlier, if the other leagues are going around making these changes about marijuana use, what's so special about the Olympics? What makes them different?
I told you. What I mean? Listen, you know when I say the old guard, you know what I mean? We can be PC about it. You know what I mean? And most of our viewers, I know the mental warriors out there that's actually going to tune in and listen to what we're saying, understand where we come from when we say the old guard is not letting it go, because the old guard has their hands on everything, the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, all of that. It's just some of them have to be more progressive than others. All right. So let's talk about the next bullet point there, the natural testosterone level story. What were you talking about there?
Well, there are a lot of transgender athletes that are participating in the Olympics. Now they're participating where I believe in weightlifting, there are two women that were once men, and they're participating in men Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. And what's happening, there are two men that are participating in women Olympics, and it's almost like it's a cheat sheet. Natural testosterone, men are naturally stronger than women physically. So it's almost like, yes, they identify as transgender or they identify as women, but they're naturally testosterone males. And they're going to lift more. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be faster. And the fact that they're able to compete in women's Olympics is a problem. It makes a confusion, if you will. I look at these things, and they have testosterone. That's a male strength substance. You know, how can you? It's like taking steroids. It's a cheat. But they're allowing them to cheat.
Because part of taking steroids is getting an injection of more testosterone. So when you talk about men who changed into being females and them competing with other females, that's a cheat within just the natural course of life. You know what I mean? I believe Pandora's box was open. It's been open since everything had to have rights. You know what I mean? I mean, animal rights. You're talking about equal rights about everything. So why wouldn't you? You know, why can't transgender or queer or all the LGBTQ community have the rights that they demand? If you're gonna sit here and pout about every other thing in the world or everything else in life having rights, I just think that we just should have the right to be human beings. Make the choices you're going to make, because there's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. We all know the wicked ways to do this. So I don't want to dwell on the topic, because, like I said, it gets touchy. You know what I mean? And said the issue is the 2 African women whose natural testosterone levels are high and they've been disqualified. That's another issue.
Woman. Right.
Yeah, right. I've heard about that. And said, and how do you determine that? I mean, they're working out, they're doing what they do, and they're saying to these women, well, your natural testosterone levels are too high, you can't compete. So they disqualified them, and I don't believe that should be the case. I don't believe that they should have been disqualified because of what they naturally produce. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just,
it's not like they're bringing in steroids or they're cheating, but that's where the lines are being drawn. That's where the things are being a little weird, because it's almost like you're telling them, because you're different, you're deemed as ineligible, and they're not. They didn't make themselves to have high testosterone levels. It's not them. It's genetics.
right.
So but that's where it gets confusing. It's almost like you're telling them, because of the fact that they have high testosterone levels, they can't.
But how do you want to protect women from other women, but you don't want to protect women from men who have naturally high testosterone levels? Like, I don't understand the logic in what are you trying? You know, how are you trying? Are you trying to protect the women? Or are the people or the powers that be just as confused as a lot of other people are? Because I know I'm not confused. I see what's going on. I see the agendas that's happening, and I'm totally against them. Like, at the end of the day, it's common sense.
I think the rules haven't been made yet. That's what I think, and they have to sit down and look at the rules and figure that out, because logically it doesn't make sense.
Well, you came up with a good one where you was talking about where you were speaking to the fact that they could be their own gender, in the sense where you got transgender men and transgender females, they compete against themselves. You know what I mean? Like, why? You know, that sounds logical. You know what I mean?
The rules don't apply to them because they all have different testosterone levels, and they're all they all have different genetics. So if you identify as transgender, you should have your own set of rules. But you should be competing amongst each other, not in a box where rules are already set, because that's an unfair advantage.
Right.
If you have high testosterone levels and you're a woman, if you have high testosterone levels if you were a man and now you're a woman, it just doesn't deem fair, because there's always going to be some extra advantage to the game or to the sport.
So the answer to all of this is just have them compete against themselves.
Correct.
When it comes down to
it would be it's on a fair level. Like, everybody has a set. They have their own line to draw and their own rules to set, and may the best person win.
And yes. They I see where you're going with it, because then it's a non-binary Olympics. It's a lot going on with it, or what have you. But what I will say is, good luck to the powers that be to figure this crap show out. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all figure that out, and what we'll do is we'll be over here just critiquing it. You know what I mean? They
got another 4 years to do it, so let's see if they get it done.
Right. So now, in the next half hour, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come with a few more topics. I mean, I know you guys know about the big topic that happened in the last couple of weeks, because we was off last week because Joe had to go take a little breather. Y'all gotta understand, this man travels to go do and be who he is, because he's a traveling historian. He has to do what he got to do. You know what I mean? But when we get back from our break, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few other topics that's been going on. We got Eric Adams. We got Bill Cosby coming up. We got the gun violence going down in New York City. Rachel Nichols, president of Haiti, assassinated. We got to talk about a few things, all right? So, but we're going to have a few words from our network, the Evening Rush Network.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
All right, we are back, and remember, we are on Deja Vu TV. That's on Roku and on Fire Stick and all that other good stuff. We are sponsored by the Big Apple Leadership Academy for the Arts. That is the Big Apple Leadership Academy for the Arts. Baller. Yes, Baller. You guys don't know about Baller in Deja Vu land, but guess what? I'm gonna tell y'all about us. You know, we are a nonprofit organization, and we do a lot of good things for the community. All right, that's a little short version of it because we have to carry on with the show. But that's our sponsor, Baller, Big Apple Leadership Academy for the Arts, for the kids. All right, all righty now. So back to current events, right? We're on Instagram. I forgot. We're on Instagram at PluggedMJ, at PluggedMJ. We're also on Facebook, Plugged with Molly and Joe. All right, Plugged with Molly and Joe on Facebook. All right, and this is our current event, something to talk about. That's all it is, just something to talk about. This is where we at, right? Something to talk about. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this in the future. We're going to do this a lot more because it do be a lot of things in the news that we, like we'll shoot it to each other in the messenger, but we don't necessarily touch on everything. But today, this past week, it's been kind of deep. So what we're going to do is, where we going with it, Joe?
Well, we can start with something that I hold dear and near, and I consider to be a bittersweet victory, if you will. Bill Cosby being let out of jail due to a prosecution mistake, if you will. Served almost 3 years for a charge that shouldn't have been. I mean, there's a lot of people who feel that technically he served the time that it was given to him, but the way that the legal system did it is where the problem that a lot of people have.
Yeah,
if you're going to go within the system that it's designed naturally for us to fail, and I'm speaking from African American male sense of view, it was set up for that to happen.
Right.
There's a technicality that led to an overturned conviction. It's a technicality because of the fact that the guy did it on purpose, that the prosecutors, they did it on purpose. He should have never been convicted under the laws in the first place.
Right.
If you want to be real, what should
in essence, they knew at some point they was going to be able to overturn this, but they got something out of the deal. They got some blood out of it. Exactly.
Something's better than nothing. So, but the problem, what happens now, it's deemed as a setup. Because that's initially what you're doing. You're setting up. You're making an example out of somebody for a reason. So the ramifications are huge because now we're talking about legality for him. And we talk about when people are railroaded and we see the steps that it take. This was a natural blindside. It was a natural railroad. I mean, they were going to give him a sentence anyway. So it was a sentence, but it was one of those off the record things where technically they couldn't do that, but they felt that something had to be done. Yeah. But now what's going to happen is it's going to be legal ramifications against the Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Well, I'm not even worried about that. I mean, we all know what he was, the league. I mean, yeah, he's going to have to come back and sue them. I mean, but I mean, yeah, the rumors had it that he was trying to buy NBC I mean, like I said, he stepped on some toes that like I said, he stepped on them old guard toes. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was out of place, out of pocket, if you will. Because if everybody is sitting there, because my point is, if everybody's sitting there saying this is known behavior, this is a known behavior, and we're coming from a time where this was toxic masculinity that they would call it today. You know what I mean? You would call it toxic masculinity today, but that was the norm back then. You know what I mean? It was a norm for a dude to look down on female. It was a norm for, you know what I mean? Not even Bill Cosby status. I'm talking about a regular dude from the hood would look down on females or try to take advantage of females. Was it right? No, it wasn't right. But it was the natural order of things. The same way when you're talking about being raised in a system that put the drugs and the guns in your hand before they put a book in your hand. It's the natural order of things. It's just how you were raised to react and do certain things. And I believe that you know we've gotten past that point. We've gotten to the point where they're right. He shouldn't have been taking advantage of women. No man should be taking advantage of women. Absolutely. There's a lot. If you go back into the skeletons of a lot of men should have did 3 years right along with Bill Cosby.
That's right, or more,
right? You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, and some men even said, like, listen, I'm glad I ain't Bill, because if a girl came and said what I did, or you know what I mean, and it gets to that thin line, because I go to the simplest form of thinking about it, is that there are men out here that might have a date with a female and know a female coming through and this, that, and the third, and he go buy a bottle. You understand what I'm saying? Or he go buy that 8. You know what I mean? He go buy that Zaza that's gonna have a little loopy. You know what I mean?
Or smoke a joint, or offer, smoke a joint.
That's what I mean by the Zaza. You know what I mean? Smoke a little bud. You understand what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? And they you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden the inhibitions go out the window. You know what I mean? And then now in the morning they wake up and like, what did I do? You understand what I'm saying? And that's the kind of syndrome I get with this whole case. It's more so like most of them woke up, well, what the hell did I do last night? You know what I mean? That's what they were doing at the time. And so, I don't know, man.
I saw an interview with Judge Joe Brown recently. He's been in the news a lot because he is a judge and he's seen a lot of cases similar to Cosby's, but he's also seen it from all the stars were doing it. And that's what he would say. When you had things like the Playboy Mansion and that penthouse that they used to have back in the day, that was the name of the game. Like, the people, men and women, both knew what they were getting into. Like they said, the drugs were part of the environment.
Right.
It wasn't like they bought the drugs and forced them to do it. Like, it was part of the environment. It was like there was a sexual revolution. And that's what people did.
I've heard stories. Like, rest in peace to my father. My father actually rubbed elbows with the stars. You know what I mean? And when I say that, the cocaine usage, the drinking, the Quaaludes, all of those different things was part of the culture. It was literally part of the culture of partying and being at Studio 54?
54.
Studio 54 and the Cotton Club and all that other stuff. I'm talking about, you go in there and you can find top shelf drugs all over the place. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's the thing. And it's like I said, it goes to the T.I. and Tiny situation as well. That's part of the current event too, because remember, they're going through situations where they got people accusing them of making them pop mollies in order to even come up into the scene. You know what I mean? Listen, have fun, have a drink, get loose, you know what I mean? You come up on the scene, and then they feel like they was pressured into doing so, because what are you doing here if you're not partying? You know what I mean? That's the right for the host of the party, right? Like, we came to party, we here to turn up. I don't know what you here doing. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it being part of the culture, it being part of the natural order of things. Listen, the man and the technicality. The funny part is the technicality they talking about, and they put the transcript up, is that they asked Bill a question. They said, asked Bill a question. They said, I'm gonna get to that tip. That they asked Bill a question where they was like, hey, so did you give women Quaaludes to have sex with them? He said yes. He said, did you force them to take the Quaaludes? Did you, try to? He said no. And that's in the same, and that's the same testament. That's in the same testimony, and that's the same testimony that got him the 3 years. Where they was like, well, he basically said he did it. You know what I mean? But he also said he did not force anybody either.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what it is. He gave him 2 Quaaludes and they love him in the morning. But no, like you said, I mean, if you technically, if you look at it, he offered it to him. It wasn't something that he told them to take. It didn't slip them a Mickey. They took it naturally, either not knowing what it was or knowing what it was. But that's where the technicality lies. Now, like I said, if he did something within what they're telling him he did the time that was used for it. The problem I have with it is the way that it was done. The problem that I have is the conviction that you had to do that in order to get him. And knowing that you couldn't do that, you couldn't convict him under the charges.
Right.
And that's where all hell is about to break loose. And I'm telling you, it's not going to look good because there's a lot of cases that work for in those situations where you're going to convict somebody, especially in a black case. I can only imagine the young black men and young black women who went to jail under technicalities as that. Right. And a lot of things need to be opened up. But if you would do that to a celebrity like Bill Cosby, imagine what you would do to a regular schmo like me.
Or what you have been doing in regular.
Or what you have been doing. Exactly my point.
And that goes back to our fight for against systemic oppression and all of the things that they got going against us as black folk, as the black and brown folk. I guess not to dwell on it. We have our understanding about, it's like you said, it's bittersweet that Bill is free. I wish he didn't have to, go through it in the first place because I feel like, it was more so things that he did in his private life because a lot of them, have quirky private lives, you know what I'm saying? And his got exposed as it should have if it was any type of hostility going on. Or if it was anything that he did wrong, you know what I mean? So he knows and God knows, you know what I mean? And them women know, you know what I mean? So moving ahead, what we're going to talk about is Felicia Rashad's statement, okay? And now she had to do her backtrack about what she had to say because she was like, free at last almost.
Free at last.
Got on her.
Well, yeah. I think the only reason why they're giving Felicia Rashad backlash is because she is the president of, she's the dean of arts at Howard University. If she was just Felicia Rashad retired, this would not be a problem. Nobody be trying to cancel her. But because of her position right now, that's the reason why they're trying to cancel her, if you will. That's her friend. You're allowed to have an opinion about your friend, but the problem is the fact that she's in a position where she has a lot of power, and especially with a university that doesn't necessarily agree with with her statements. That's the reason why she had to.
My question is
apologize and backtrack.
My question is, if your opinion of all the facts and all the truths that happened is that he's guilty. He's guilty. And you're right. They need to give him back his money. But let's say your opinion of him is he guilty, right? You're entitled to that. We give you that. We say, you know what? No problem. That's your thought on it. That's cool. I have a real problem when you go against the norm and you don't believe what everybody else is thinking, that people want to sit there and vilify you for doing so. You know what I mean? And that's basically what happened with her, is that she has her opinion on what she thinks about the case. She knows him a little more personally than most of us, than many of us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Shoot, she might feel offended like that. If you was doing like you never thought to go this way. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was a matter of preference. It was a matter of what he was doing, and it was a matter of, you know what I mean, what she knew that man to be. Exactly. You understand what I'm saying? So who is us to judge that? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Who is us to say, oh, you know what, she dead wrong for believing in him? Or saying that I'm dead wrong for believing in him, or saying you dead wrong for believing in him, or saying anybody out there is dead wrong for believing in his freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Because in essence, if he was being a little freak nasty, you know what I mean? Yeah, bro, he was being a little slickster. You know what I mean? But like I said, there's slicksters in these streets all day, every day. I swear, I'm telling you, there's dudes that drag drunk chicks out of clubs. I know this. I've seen it. You know what I mean? And I'm mad that I didn't stop it. Trust me, I'm mad about these type of things, Joe. I'm mad that I ain't stopped certain things that didn't look right. That woman ain't coherent.
Right.
And she about to get in the car with 3 dudes.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But guess what happened that night? Her choices got her into that predicament. The only one that probably could have. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Who's to blame in these situations? You know what I mean? But then it's definitely their blame because they should leave. You know what I mean? Come on. They should, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be that greasy. But come on, sis, you got to make better decisions with yourself, man. You know what I mean? You got to do, you know what I'm saying? You got to keep yourself in a different, you know what I mean, different environment in these cases. You know what I mean?
That's where the blurred line is. The blurred line is how much of the blame do you take? Yes, you take some of the blame if you initiated it, but if you had a chance to stop it or avoid it, you also should take that responsibility. And that's part of the problem. You also should take that responsibility. And the problem is you're looking for one person to blame, one person to give it fault when there's multiple people at fault. I'm about to say something that's not going to be very popular with a lot of people. But what about the women who knew that he was married? He's been married to his wife for over 60 years. Why would you put yourself in that predicament in the first place?
Yeah. What was you doing there 2 in the morning?
What were you doing there 2 o'clock in the morning? What was that? You know, most of us know, adults know that if you're in a place at 2 o'clock in the morning, it ain't to make chocolate cake or have toast.
Nah, y'all talking about your acting. Y'all talking about your acting career. You know what I mean? Talking about your acting career.
You're not there to have a meeting at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know something is going down. So there's a logical sense for you to say, okay, what's getting ready to happen? If something happens, I could say no. Now, if you're forced, that's a different. They came to put it in what?
Yeah, they came to put it and watch Fat Albert. They came to have put it and watch Fat Albert. That's what they came there for.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Listen. It is what it is. We're gonna move on from that topic because, like I said, it goes into so many lines. It goes into so many blurred lines. And the first thing I want to say to people out there that might listen to the show, might see the show, what have you, is listen. I empathize with any victim out there. I am not for anybody being victimized sexually at all, at any time, shape, fashion, or form. It has affected so many of our people, so many of our women, and I believe that's what get deflected onto a Bill Cosby case such as this. Whereas the things that happen to them is where they want Bill to suffer for the things that happen to them. Y'all need to compartmentalize what happened to you. The evil man that did that to you, that is who you need to focus on when it comes down to your anger. Now, when it comes to other men that you don't know nothing about their story or nothing about their truths, listen, try to take it easy. We're not getting that. We're not attacking you by saying that Bill is innocent. You know what I mean? No. We're not saying that you wasn't a victim in your case. We're just saying that. Listen, Bill ain't do what he. We believe that Bill ain't do with him. You know,
but they say he did.
Yeah, he's the great rape goat. Yeah, he's the scapegoat, as they would say it. Yeah, because he was the beginning of the Me Too movement, as you would call it. You know what I mean? They drove a movement behind it, and I'm not mad about the movement. The movement was something that gave me a reflective thought. I'm sure it gave Sean a reflective thought on how we are to start treating women going forward. Because like I said, it was okay. It was okay to do certain things to women. You know what I mean? It was sort of like, all right, yeah, if you want to, a woman in a party, you want to smack. I never did it personally, but I've seen dudes smack a woman smack her straight in her behind. You know what I mean? And again, I'm sitting there like, wow, that's off. You know what I mean? But you know, like I said, that topic was really, you know, like I said, it's not okay, but it's accepted. You know what I mean? These are certain. It's behaviors. That's what we're talking about. Behaviors is not okay, but it was accepted, and then somebody said enough is enough. You know what I mean? And we're saying enough is enough. We're going to say enough is enough with that topic today because we get. Go ahead, Joe.
No, like you said, it's not meant for us to idolize anybody or to show favoritism towards anything. We understand how important these are, but at the same time, we have to look at all of the facts. We have to be logical about what we say and what we do. We can't base our opinion on something that happened to somebody else because we're feeling that it happened to us. Not every situation is the same. And that's what we have to understand. But we realize that this happens. So how do we stop it? By bringing it to the public. Okay, make people not realize that this is something that needs to be brought to the public and we need to put it into this stuff. But don't bash or criticize everybody that's in a situation like this, because we also know that there's another side to the story and we have to hear everything before we make a judgment. Every single thing. And that's all that I ask people to understand. I said, listen to all the facts before you make your critique or your judgment.
And remember, in the case of this system, some of the facts it's not so factual.
Factual. Mm-hmm.
And that's this system for you. It gets you. It's a blurry line, man. I mean, you know.
Well, we know what Brother Malcolm talked about with the media years ago. How he talked about the media will make you believe what you want to believe, or make you thinking the good is bad and the bad is good. So
let's not make villains of our heroes. Let's not make villains of their work that they put forth on this earth to allow us to learn and to teach. Because I know a different world, and the Cosby Show allowed me to think real highly of black folk, because I know the streets didn't teach me none of that. The streets had me thinking that we were some of the lowest of lows. But when I got on that television and saw that black family and them black kids going to college, changed my whole perspective. All right, you know what I mean. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give a little rundown of what's been going on in the city. You know what I mean. Eric Adams becoming New York City mayoral Democratic nominee.
Yes.
We go another black man and going into a high office in politics, and I voted for him personally, which I guess I could say, but and the reason being is because I believe him. You know what I mean, and that's all that you can really do with these politicians is believe some of the things that they're going to say. And the funny part about being a New York City Democratic nominee is almost like you won already. You know,
exactly, because we know that the Democrats in New York City, we do know that's how they vote. But I mean, Eric Adams, I believe that he's going to win this race. I'm putting it out that he's going to win the mayoral Democrat, to become mayor. Period. It's because of the times that we're in. When you look at the late '80s when David Dinkins ran, the situations is not that different.
Right.
We're in. It's almost a lot of the same things are happening that they did.
Well, that ties into Mayor Cuomo having the New York state of emergency for gun violence. So, you know what I mean? And a lot of that has to do with New York City, to be honest with you. They might say New York state of emergency, you know what I mean? New York City though. You know what I mean? So that ties into that as well. It's the violence in the city. It really wasn't. Yeah, he's right, Sean. Sean is right. It wasn't this bad because it wasn't killings every day. I mean, you have a break some days. It might have been every other day, but I wouldn't say it was killing every day. You know what I mean?
Not. But like we talk about with that, a lot of it has to do with the state of where we are. People are recovering from the pandemic. People don't have what they have, the have and have nots. There's a lot of things that are happening that we have to pay attention to. We talk about the mental health crisis.
It's almost like the movie Purge. It's almost like Purge-like, because you notice there's a lot of apocalyptic movies out these days. So people take their cues from TV shows and movies real quick. Absolutely. You know what I mean? They would take like, you know what? Oh snap! Here it go. We about to be zombies now. I'm gonna get mine while I can. You know. So one of the things about the Eric Adams nomination is that despite the redistribution of votes through rank count voting, he never lost his lead. So that was a strong battle, because if it was the normal way of voting, where it was just like everybody just make a vote, he would have won in a landslide. So it seemed, because he got more first place votes than anybody else. What happens in the rank count voting is that once a nominee drops out, their votes go to the next person up.
Next person, right?
Right. Their votes go to the next person up and onward, right? So, I don't know much about ranked choice vote. Yeah, ranked choice vote. I'm sorry, not rank count. Ranked choice vote. Sorry. So I don't know, what does it say about ranked choice voting? What does ranked choice voting say about the other candidates that followed him? Were they really that strong? But I think it gave people a chance to make choices, at the very least. What do you think, Joe?
I agree. I've never understood ranked choice voting, but I believe that if they felt that their first choice was important for the job, that's who should have kept the votes.
Right.
Now, that's where it goes. Now, Eric Adams had that lead from the very beginning.
It seems like a pity party afterwards, right? Like a real big pity party.
Participations awards. We talk about that a lot too. But that's what it feels like to me, participation award. But what can I say? But like I said, congratulations to Eric Adams. And I know these next few months are going to be really interesting in New York City politics.
Yeah. And I'm excited about his nomination, because he's made promises to my program, put it out there, to doing things for the community and such. So I'm just looking forward to seeing if the politicians come through what they have to say to us. We're here doing the civic duties, you know what I mean? And I want to see if it works, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I know all of them make promises, but listen, I'm the kind of dude, I got a platform now. I'm on TV, I'm on radio, I can say it. Eric Adams ain't do nothing for me.
Call them to their word. Call them to their word. Let them know what's up. You were going to do this. What's going on?
Yeah, dog, we got a platform. I shout them out. What happened? Yeah, I mean, New York City state of emergency for gun violence. Cuomo brought that out and saying that he's going to try to treat this like the pandemic. Like it's that serious for him. It's like he's going to put money towards it to try to get these guns off the street.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, man. The fight against gun violence starts at stop making guns. For me, like stop making the guns. Like, you know what I mean? You don't need what use is it to have a gun? Like, it's only to kill things. It's not to sew, it's not to cook, it's not to bake, it's not to play ball with, it's to kill things. It's to kill something. It's to put a hole in something. So stop making them.
Right. Well, there's it's obviously a stronger message, a symbolism when you're talking about guns. Guns is a symbolism of power, a symbolism of war. The more we're in war, the more we're in power, the more that they feel guns are useful. And it's almost like people look at guns and say, hey, this is going to help me be a better person. This is going to help me live better. And that's not necessarily the case. But the problem with the gun, the emergency is that this has been happening for years. The problem why it's such a big deal now is because you see more of it. But it's been happening like this for years. These numbers ain't new. These things ain't new. Look at Chicago. Chicago is one of the most high crime-ridden cities in America, and this stuff's been happening for decades.
Right.
Especially during holiday weekends. This stuff always happens. But the problem is people have more time on their hands and they can actually see it, and you go, wow.
And people got too much access to guns. Period. You can get guns easily. Like the brother said, you said anywhere else easily. In New York, you can't. So that's the funny part about the New York gun problem is really a machismo thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, we can't go grab a gun anyway. So you really have to be determined to go grab a gun to do somebody harm because you wasn't raised up around it. You know what I mean? You was raised up around the idea of killing someone. You was raised up around the idea of taking someone's life. You know what I mean? But you wasn't raised up with the idea of gun usage. That's down south type of stuff. They raised up with, you know, they're hunting, they're doing this and they're doing that. So, you know, it's kind of weird, man. But we can't even get guns out here. You know what I mean? But yet they're everywhere, though. Go figure. So again, more gun control is how we stop the violence. More gun control. You take it out their hands. Let them shoot the five. Let them shoot the five, like as we used to call it. You know what I mean? Come on, now. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
These guns are coming in from somewhere, and we're not the ones providing them. We don't go.
And we don't make them, bro.
We don't make them.
None of us. Yeah, we know. Sean. I know. You know, I'm raised right with you, bro. You know, I know how we do it, but it's being done anyway because they manufacture them. We don't own their one manufacturing company. We don't own one bullet. You know what I mean? We don't own no bullet making company. We don't own none of these things. They actually do, the Halliburtons and all of them, who make money off of wars. And they're making money off of wars. What happens is you can't use all the guns up in a war because sometimes at some point the war is going to end. So you have all the surplus of all of this weaponry, and what do? Sell it to the damn people, and then wonder how you got the people shooting up each other because you got people judging. You know what I mean? Making judgment calls off of themselves. You know what I mean? We don't make the guns. We don't produce the guns. So therefore, how we get rid of the gun violence is stop making them or stop having easy access for anybody to have. To hell with a right to bear arms. Yeah, bear your two arms and go at it. You understand what I'm saying? You got two arms, go bear them and go handle business.
That's
right. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move on from that. We had a few more topics, right, Joe? And I know the topics that we had was going to be kind of deep and emotional as well. You know what I mean? Them some heavy hitters there. Bill Cosby. African American struggles in the Olympics. You know what I mean? Oh, we have also, you know, we got Rachel Nichols and the Maria Taylor ESPN controversy. We'll speak to that probably next week. You know what I mean? It's no need to push it, right? We already
the finals is still happening. So as long as the finals is still happening, it's relevant. Right.
It'll be relevant. So the finals is happening, right? You got the game is tonight, right? CP3 and the Bucks. Go Suns. I'm with the Suns this time, you know, just what's the name. President of Haiti was assassinated. You know, I'm sorry to hear that. Sean DeDon said Brooklyn was robbed by Katie's Bigfoot. No, he ain't say big. He ain't say that. He just said Brooklyn was robbed, but I'll tell him why. Katie got a Bigfoot. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, that was a game winner. That was listen, inches from the finals. He made it, but it was a 2. It was a 2. All right. President of Haiti was assassinated. Sorry to hear that. That's I wanted to talk about that, but we don't have no time today to talk about that today. Listen, we're gonna take a page out of Hot 97 brothers and them, but this is our Jack behind of the day. The Ohio police, Anthony Comparo, the KKK man.
Yes.
This man left on video, like they had cameras running, and he left a KKK symbol on his black counterpart's desk.
Yes. Yes, left it on his desk as if that's the thing to do. The problem is people have in his power think that it's a game. They don't see the seriousness in it, but he was on the force for almost 25, 30 years. So how can you not take that seriously? You had to know that it wasn't funny, you know, and that's what we look at. We look at people in power, people in positions. We look at them and they don't take this stuff seriously. They think it's a joke. That's why we have to keep pushing our beliefs and our rights, because they look at it as a show, and it's not a show. For someone, a grown-ass man, to be able to do that and think that it's funny and think it's a joke, like, really? Where have you not been for the last 10, 15 years?
Well, the joke's on him. The joke's on him, and he got chased up out of there. They gave that man a few hours to get his stuff and get us out of that office. So, you know, kudos for them making it happen real quick. Like, nah, we're not tolerating this at all. And that's this day and time, you know what I mean? In this day and time, that's how it is. It's zero tolerance, and that's what we need. We need zero tolerance for any ignorance towards a black man. You know what I mean? And shout out to Edward Cagney Matthews, the brother that told the white man that told black folk to pull up to his crib.
Yes. And that's exactly what they did.
And hundreds of them pulled up. I wish we had the picture for that. And I wish we had the picture. Right. It did have a picture for it. But, you know, that just goes to show the strength in numbers and strength in positive numbers. So my message to everybody before we close out is that there is strength in numbers. We have to unify in order to get anywhere in this life. You know what I mean? Anybody that's listening to us in all of the different platforms, and anybody that's going to begin to watch us as we move forward and grow to be bigger and better within our platform and giving you information. You understand what I'm saying? And in unity is going to help us grow, because you guys is going to like what we do, share what we do, and even critique what we do. You know what I mean? We don't mind the critique. Come critique away. We need 1,000 critics. You understand what I'm saying? Because those are the same people that's going to push our message and push what we do to the millions of people that's going to agree with what we got to say. All right? Absolutely. So that's what I got to say last. Joe, what you got to say?
Continue to watch. We're continuing to growing. There's always something that's happening. There's always something that's going on. And you, the viewers, are our support system. You're our sounding board, if you will. You'll tell us when we're wrong. You'll tell us when you think we're right. And you may even change our thought process on some things. So continue to support us. We are here. We're not going anywhere. And anytime, contact us. You have our contact information. You have the right to make a comment while we're talking. And Instagram, Plugged MJ. Follow us on Facebook, Plugged with Molly and Joe. Follow us on the networks. Let us know some things that you want to talk about. And we could all you know, we will continue to spread the message the way that we know how, the way that Molly knows how, the way that I know how. And we hope that y'all continue to join the ride with us.
And shout out to my little campers out there and and Baller Summer Enrichment Program. I got about a good 13 to 15 little people, and that's nice beginnings. You know what I'm saying? Nice, humble beginnings. And with the pandemic happening, I mean, these kids out here enjoying themselves. I'm talking about we knocking them out at 6, 7 o'clock at night. I'm telling you, I know these parents is happy. You know what I mean? But shout out to Baller, my team over at Baller Enrichment. We got some things over the summer we're going to have happen with the Empire Marching Elite. We're going to kick back, you know, our programming back in, you know, in the fall. We're going to change locations on people. So it's a lot coming. It's a lot happening with our program. And Deja Vu, thank you for having us.
For sure.
The Rush Network, thank you for having us.
Yes,
and
sir.
All I want to say to everybody, peace.
Peace.